So all of that shit that I just played you, that all of those clips of Mark Maron complaining that he's lost control of the culture and everything, that's present day. That's 2025. That's post-COVID, post-2020 election, post-2010s. This is the aftermath of this. That's where we're at now. But I'm going to go back to 2020, which is the end of the 2010s, where people like Mark Maron had total control. People were starting to identify people like Mark Maron, people like him, as the thought police and, woke cancel culture and all of this shit. People were starting to go, even the average Joe was going, what is all this? What's that? And then COVID comes along, sort of just takes over. That becomes the main focus of everything, doesn't it? No one's really talking about comedians or TV shows or political commentators. They're just talking about the virus and the pandemic and what's going on. And the new trick, as if all of that wasn't happening already, the new trick is, it's nothing to do with politics. There's definitely, they were always denying that there's this left-wing attempt to censor you and censor right-wingers. But then they get to fully deny it and go, this isn't even about politics. This is about a virus. Viruses and vaccines aren't political. This is science. And we can't have anyone spreading disinformation. It's nothing to do with hate speech or wokeism or cancel culture. We need to ban people who are spreading disinformation because it's dangerous. And once again, it's exactly the same script as I've been telling you about this whole time. The people that are protecting you from disinformation are spreading nothing but disinformation all fucking day long. Everything they said about the virus, the vaccine, everything, lockdowns, masks, social distancing, all of it was completely useless. And I'm not really going to go into that because I've already made a video about that. I made a video called Why Aren't We in Lockdown Anymore? And you should go and listen to that one because I point out exactly why it's all bullshit. All you've got to do is ask yourself, why aren't we in lockdown anymore? Where did the virus go? Like, nothing's actually changed. We just suddenly don't have to obey these rules anymore. There wasn't some breakthrough that changed anything. It's just they dropped it. I guess they must have just got too much cultural pushback. But in 2020, everything was still totally leftified. Elon Musk had not bought Twitter yet. Donald Trump actually got banned from Twitter while being president. The president of the United States of America got cancelled. And the reason why that's funny, in case you don't understand why that's funny or why that's such a crazy thing to point out, it's because, as I keep saying, there was a denial this whole time. It's completely denied that the censorship is coming from the left. And, at the time, we had a right-wing conservative government in England, and you also had the right-wing conservative government in America, Trump, the Republican Party. So this is how the left get to deny this. They go, no, look, Trump's the president. Trump's in power. They always point out that we live under a right-wing government. They did this in England all the time. We've had nothing but Tories for 14 years. We've been in a right-wing conservative government this whole time. It's like, it doesn't matter because the lefties control all of the things, all of the narrative of every single thing that we get our information from. Mainstream media, the education system, Hollywood, all of the movies, all of it is left-wing propaganda. So you're on a left-wing boat, floating on left-wing waters, under a left-wing sky, breathing in left-wing air all day, every day. And that's why if you get one little right-wing thing fall into your lap, it's like, what is this? Oh my God, oh, throw it away. Oh my God, what is this? Because you're living in lefty world. Doesn't matter if you've got a right-wing government. So the trick here is, this is like Mark Maron saying, it's not a free speech issue. You're not being censored. You're not. you're not going to prison. Because he's trying to point out that there's no government authority that is actually punishing you for your speech. It's just platforms and schools and TV and all of these other things. But that's actually my point, is you're not in power. Yet you still have all this power. You're controlling what people say and shit, even though you're actually not in power. How are you doing that? You're doing this while saying that you're the defender of democracy when you haven't been elected to do this. No one asked for the thought police. No one wants you. Fuck off. So I'm just going to have to quickly go back even further and point out that back in the 90s, because this is something you'll hear the left say, they always say, well, no, we live in a right-wing government. And so how can it be us? How can it be us controlling you when we're not in power? It's like, no, that's my point. You're not supposed to be in power, yet you have all this power. But another thing you always hear lefties say is, or you'll even hear people on the right say it. They go, well, it used to be the people on the right that would censor you. Back in the 90s, it's weird how like the right used to be anti-free speech and the left were pro-free speech. And now it's like switch, like what's happened? Really? When were the right actually anti-free speech? In the 90s? Like what is your example here? Oh, right. I remember. Yeah, they didn't like rap music. They didn't like the N-word and swear words and talking about killing people and fucking hoes and doing drugs in rap music and rock music and all of this. Right-wing Christians were trying to stop this. Yeah, that's true. But were they actually trying to stop that stuff from being produced at all? Were they trying to ban it from existence? No. It's the same thing as now with the trans ideology, gay porn, pedo type stuff in books, in libraries. And right-wingers go, yeah, we don't really want kids reading that. And then they go, you're trying to ban books, you're a Nazi. It's like, I'm not banning the book from existence. We just don't want a 5-year-old reading it. It's no different from putting a 15 certificate on a film or an 18. What are you talking about? It's the same thing with this whole right-wing Christians used to try and censor rap music and rock music in the 90s. Don't you remember? That shit, they don't want it played on the radio and TV in the middle of the daytime when little kids are going to hear it. It doesn't mean we're going to burn all the CDs and you're not allowed to have that. And the end result was, the agreement was, yeah, you're allowed to sell those CDs, you're allowed to sell that music, but you have to put a little stamp on it saying this is explicit, adult content. You don't really have an example of the right wing trying to silence their political opposition. They don't ban people from saying left-wing ideas. The rappers in the 90s weren't really rapping about left-wing ideology. They were rapping about violence and drugs and prostitution and shit. And the right wing were just saying, are you seriously going to play that on the radio? Like, we don't really want children hearing that. It's adult content. It's not for children. So how about you just have it only after a certain time at night? You only have it with a sticker on the thing. You beep out the words on the radio. Yeah. But you'll always hear this from lefties. And even some right-wingers will fall into the trap of saying this. Yeah, it's weird how the right wing used to be ones that want to shut people up. And then it's like, switch to the left. No, the right wing never really wanted to actually completely shut you up. And also, the left used to be pro-free speech. Yeah, the left are only pro-free speech when they're talking about themselves or when they're talking about how they do want sexual content and violent content available for children. And they do want to be able to say that they want to kill the president when it's a right-wing president and stuff. And advocating for violence and shit. Which has always been illegal. That's not your right. You don't have the freedom to advocate for violence or, show pornography to children. You don't have the right to do that. And that's not anti-free speech, okay? That's just trying to stop people from being violent or showing pornography to children. I mean, how do you not get that? So the best you've got with your whole, well, right-wingers are anti-free speech too when it suits them, I think the best you've got is like, fucking generations ago when the Christians had the blasphemy laws and, the church. It's a weird thing because when things are like satanic and blasphemous and stuff, if you actually are satanic, that means you are Charles Manson, you're Ted Bundy, you're a fucking murderous nutcase. You worship Satan and you want destruction and you want to kill people and stuff. But a lot of the times the satanic blasphemous stuff is actually performed by atheists who are just trolling, basically. So they don't believe in God or Satan. They're mocking the whole thing. And from the Christian point of view, when they see this, they go, oh my God, you're actually satanic. And they're not really, they're just taking the piss and being dickheads. So it's like, it's a tricky one because there is a lot of pearl clutching from the Christians when it comes to people being blasphemous to this day. And they probably do want you to stop doing that, and they do want to stop you from being able to do that. But Christianity is not necessarily right-wing. There's plenty of Christians who are left-wing. Whether you like it or not, Christianity is actually where we get a lot of our laws and where we get our civilization from. So if you're against that, then you're against the law. Like, what I mean by that is we technically are supposed to be living in a Christian nation. As in, like I said, this is where we actually get our civilization from. Like, if you ask me, if I was in charge, I would say you're allowed to say whatever you want. And if you want to say, I worship Satan and I worship pure evil, I'm like, well, you can say that if you want. You just make yourself look bad. You look like the dickhead that worships evil, but whatever. You can say that, I guess. And if you want to say, well, I'm just an atheist who doesn't believe in anything and I'm just trolling, I'm just mocking, I'm just making a joke. It's like, well, okay, great joke, whatever. But obviously the Christians will say different. The Christians will say, you shouldn't be able to say that, you shouldn't be able to do that. And although I'm against controlling people's speech, if you're going to rail against the Christians and go, fuck you, we can do what we want, then you have to be consistent and you have to do that against the Muslims and everyone else as well. And the lefties don't do that. They just want to wind up Christians all day and they protect the Muslims at all cost and defend them all day. And if you take the piss out of Muslims and then a bunch of Muslims kill you for it, the people on the left will say, serves you right, you shouldn't have taken the piss out of the Muslims. Meanwhile, they take the piss out of Christians all day. So I don't take the left very seriously. And as I said before, if we live in a Christian nation and you're being oppressed by Christians and you can't blaspheme and you don't have freedom of speech because the Christians are telling you can't say what you want. It's like, well, how come the left are totally controlling what everyone says then? And how come everything on TV is pure satanic, fucking pure evil, blasphemous? Like, I think we're way past having to live under the rule of the church. Like, in my lifetime, all I've seen is upside down crosses and Satan everywhere. So you do get this complaint from the left, like, oh, well, the church are trying to control you. And I'm like, well, I would be against them if they were, but I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling the church trying to control me. I'm feeling a bunch of lefties saying you're not allowed to use hate speech, and they change what hate speech is every day. And the church isn't necessarily right-wing or left-wing either. Like, it just so happens the people who have rebelled against God the most happen to be on the left. But there's plenty of Christians on the left, and there's plenty of right-wingers who aren't really religious and whatever. You don't really have an example of right-wingers trying to take away your freedom of speech. I know you think you do. You don't. Especially in recent times. It's a left-wing thing. And when left-wingers try and censor people and ban them and cancel them and all that, they always pretend that they're protecting someone. This is what I'm saying. And it's never the children. It's always just some random group. Trans people, women. Women is my favourite one because women is literally half the population. They're not a fringe group. They're not a small minority. And they just sort of think they can speak for all women. It's like, no, you're actually when lefties say women, what they mean is their little clan of feminists. That's not women. You know, there's literally like millions of women that aren't feminists, and they're like, what are you talking about? You don't defend me. You don't speak for me. So I just think it's hilarious when they talk about women, because when lefties say women, that is code word for our little group of feminists, our little foot soldier women. They do the same thing with black people. They go, we're defending black people. It's like, no, you're only defending the left-wing Black Lives Matter freaks. The ones that you've got under your spell. There's tons of right-wing black people. I mean, black people actually are a minority group in our country and in America. But within that group, there are right-wing black people, and you just ignore them. You either ignore them or you insult them and tell them that they're Uncle Toms and they're sucking up to white people and all of this shit. They can't just be right-wing black people. They're like bad black people. Yeah, right-wing means bad in lefty world. It just means bad. They don't even know what it is. It's just bad. There's right-wing gay people. There's even right-wing trans people. Yes, there is. And the left don't treat these people very well. All of their compassion goes out the window the minute you're right-wing. Doesn't matter that you're trans now. Doesn't matter that you're black now. Doesn't matter that you're gay now. Because the left like to keep these groups as their little pets. And they treat the right-wing ones as, you know, pets that ran away, that are bad. Need to get back here right now. What are you doing? This is actually an example of how Christianity isn't necessarily right-wing or the left. The left don't expel Christians from the left. It's really funny when a lefty who is a Christian starts talking about their faith amongst other lefties. You just see all the other lefties sort of roll their eyes and go, oh. They just sort of ignore it and they just sort of pretend it's not there because they want to go against the church, but at the same time, they really just want to sort of take over the church. They want to absorb it into their little blob and sort of steal some of its power. They want to be the new religion. That's what the left wants to be. So the church is their rival. They want to sort of outdo it, and become it, literally. So the left are fine with you being a Christian as long as you support Black Lives Matter and you're a feminist and you support LGBTQT coming arson, more calling arson, coming arson, shribbity, sugar, big bat, and boot, boot, GPT, boot, rigid, chat, and boot, beat, and seat, boot, boot, gay, and boot, bat, lesbian, and boot, bat, trans boy, and boot, cat, gay boy, cat, boot, bat, bisexual, cat, about, plus, as long as you support that, and as long as you